Thank you very much, Kat. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Per our usual, we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we will begin our meeting with a board presentation. That first presentation is the Treasurer Report presented by our Village Administrator, Treasurer and Clerk Charlene Cagle-Betts.
Thank you, Mayor. Kat, do you have our report loaded yet?
Working on it.
Okay. Well, I wanted to give an overview. We've basically finished closing out our year for 2021, May 31st year end. We do have new auditors. They're starting, they've already begun some of their field work. We're prepping some of the preliminary field work, questionnaires and whatnot. They are new auditors, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get them up and running, get them familiar with, the village operations. The good thing is that they used to be our auditors about 15 years ago. So they're just back, and they've merged with another firm, so their name has changed, but it's the same firm that formerly used to be Albert Figiano in Zurich. It's now called PFK O'Connor Davies. So we've been making some adjustments, receiving some revenue that came in after year end. We have to do a lot of adjusting entries to accrue some expenses. We've just about finished paying all of our bills that came in for May, invoices dated in May. So we're kind of wrapped up to the point where we think we're finally at the end of the year. So at the end of the year, our adopted budget was $32.4 million. We received revenue in the amount of $33.085. Expenditures, once again, our adopted budgeted expenditures were $32.4 million. And it looks like all in all, with our encumbrances outstanding, we're going to spend about $31.49 million. That will give us projected within-year surplus for 2021 in the amount of just under $1.6 million. So in the packet that was distributed to the board today, and it'll be part of the minutes, there is a budget versus actual expenditure report, which you'll see here up on the screen. Kat, can you scroll down like 2 pages, I believe, where you get to the end of this first page? One more. There we go. So basically, this shows our year-over-year, our year expenditures. It shows the original budget, any amendments we made to our budget, and the amounts that were expended at the end of the year. One adjustment that gets made towards the bottom of the adjustment of this particular report, when we appropriated $3.7 million in prior year within year surplus, it gets actually flowed through the current year results. So, the computerized expenditure report reports that $3.7 million as an expense. It washes through. So that gets adjusted out because that's really a prior appropriation, and it's a reallocation. It doesn't decrease our fund balance. It just takes whatever we had in our unreserved fund balance, and the board has restricted that to be used for certain purposes. So our overall reserves stay the same. It's just the money's been earmarked. So this is where we come up with the $31.4 million in expenditures. So slightly below where we had originally budgeted. The next page is our budget, our revenues. If you remember, in December, it looked like we were headed for some serious trouble of last year. Our building department revenues came in very, very far below. We're coming in tracking very far below. And Kat, can you just scroll down to the last page of that for a second? I prepared a chart. One more page. There you go. So this is a bar chart of monthly building department revenues that you'll see here. And by the time December rolled around, it looked like we were in trouble. And so we made some within-year adjustments. And the original amount we had budgeted for building revenues were about $1.5 million. So we cut that in half because we were projecting that a pretty dismal outcome. As soon as we, of course, prepared that journal entry to reduce the budget, everything seemed to have rallied. Everything started to open up. And if you see what happened at the end of the year, the revenue came in much further than we had expected, and we ended the year with $1.7 million. So that was really the driving force of a lot of our within-year surpluses, that we kind of tightened our belts a little bit. But part of that whole process of our budget adjustment, we did learn that there were a lot of expenditures that were really kind of over budgeted for, year upon year. And I don't think any of the services for the village have been impacted. Everybody got what they needed. All the departments, didn't have any issues operating and providing services to the residents. So all in all, I think we ended up in a pretty good place. So, and that basically is my year-end results. I've also distributed within-year budget versus actual performance to the board for the current period. That's also be available on the website. And I think that's about it.
Okay.
Thank you, Charlene.
Thank you, Charlene. Are there any other comments or questions from the board?
Good, thank you.
All right, thank you. That was a great report. It's great that we have a operating budget surplus of once again this year. The year prior, we were very fortunate to have run a good operation, generated a $3.7 million operating budget surplus, which we then appropriated for water quality and water infrastructure projects. So that is now sitting on our balance sheet, which is good news. So it could serve as a down payment on a sewer, or it could also serve as a funding for environmental or clean water projects. And then to close out this year with a projected operating surplus of almost $1.6 million, also pretty good results. So this looks like we're headed in the right direction. We're paying down debt, which this report didn't actually take into account. So very happy about our financial and operating budget results, and we're looking forward to having another good year. So that was an excellent report. Thank you very much, Charlene. And now I guess the moment we've all been waiting for, which is our public hearing tonight, which I would like to make a motion to open our public hearing. That is, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton shall consider a proposal to amend the Village Code, Chapter 116-23, Special Conditions and Safeguards for Certain Uses and Residence District, Table of Use Regulations. Is there a second to open the hearing?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll begin the hearing by either having some comments from the boards or opening this up to public comment. When we do, as we do, we just, again, let everyone know that there is a 3-minute limit for public comment, so please just be aware. And we're looking forward to hearing from everyone. Should we go right into public comment, or is there anything we'd like to say prior? Okay. So we'll start with public comment, and do we have a list of?
I do have a list. I have Stephen Jones from Bayport, New York. Jones?
Thank you. Good evening. I apologize for not introducing myself properly last time I was here. Stephen Jones, 188 South Ocean Avenue, Bayport, New York. I've been retained by Mr. Anton Borovina, who I believe represents some people on Meeting House Lane. I was Islip Town Commissioner of Planning and Development in the 1970s. During the Halpin years, I was County Planning Commission Chairman. During the Gaffney years, I was Director of Planning and Real Estate for Suffolk County. I'm also a founder of the Suffolk County Planning Federation, where you send your appointed officials who are planning and zoning officials for training sometimes, which is mandated by the state. So I just wanted to say that the plans that I've done over the years usually begin with an inventory of what's available and what's possible. So I would ask either rhetorically or otherwise, what other sites have been considered. Another thing that planners usually do is they come up with it's a site location, they come up with site criteria. So I would suggest that the reason that there have been no complaints where Heart of the Hamptons is now is because that particular site checks a lot of boxes. It's on a collector street. It has great turning and accessibility and queuing space right on the street. It's a large piece of property. There's room on site for circulation on the site itself and for parking on the site itself. And there's room for storage and trash disposal and delivery. So I would suggest that that's obviously that's a decision that you are going to make as to whether the proposed site meets certain site criteria. I say this also as not only a planner, but as a guy who's volunteered for the last 2 years with Island Harvest. I've been delivering food to people all over in western Suffolk County mostly, but I've seen how the process works, from the delivery of food, the warehousing of food, the breaking down, distribution of food. So I'm familiar with that, and also with the impact to food delivery systems. So I would just say that I think it's problematic to pick a site first and then restructure your codes and set it up so that site meets the proper criteria. And lastly, just let me say that planning for me is just intelligent forethought. And I would urge you to do a little more of that intelligent forethought as you consider, especially tonight, opening up and allowing food pantries anywhere in the village and in residential districts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Robert Griffin? Private Road, Eastport, New York.
Good evening, Mayor Warren, members of the board, and Charlene. I'm just here tonight to speak on behalf of Heart of the Hamptons, an organization I have been involved with either directly or laterally. Sure. Maybe this isn't close enough.
You can take the mask off and just speak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll let everyone take their masks off and just.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Robert Griffin, here to speak on behalf of Heart of the Hamptons. And I have been involved with the organization for a couple years now. And I just want to express to you that the work that they do that we do is really unlike any other entity that I have come across. And their clientele are sometimes people who maybe you know them, maybe you don't know them. They could be regular patrons, or they might be once or twice in a lifetime patrons. But Heart of the Hamptons does not discriminate as to whether someone's a regular or someone is not. We're just looking to help those who need help. And we do have some patrons who are in the community, in the village, in our zip code. Some are outside. But we don't discriminate as to where someone is from, only that if they need help, we're there for them. There's many services we do provide. We've already spoken about the meals that we provide to people in need. We have also reached out to our seniors in the village just to check in with them. They might need transportation to a medical appointment of some kind. There's so many different things that we do help people with. So I just wanted to express to all of you that I'm here to speak on their behalf, and I do support and do what I can for the organization. And I really feel that it's something, like I said, maybe you don't know someone who's used the food pantry, or you don't know someone or have seen someone who has received assistance from us, and maybe it's not all the time, maybe it's just once, ever, in their life, but we're there for them, and we are looking to continue the service that we've done for many years, and we hope to be able to continue in a way that everyone can still have an easy time getting to us. It has been it's been a little difficult for some of our seniors and people who are disabled to get to us in our basement location. So we're just we're hoping that we can continue to provide the services that we've provided for over 40 years. Thank you all very much.
Dinah Maxwell Smith.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dinah Maxwell Smith. I live at 59 Meeting House Lane, almost diagonally across from the proposed HOH site. I have a letter that I'm going to read from another neighbor who lives just to the east of me, Joanne Crisafi, who is married to Joe Giordano. Their last letter was not read at the meeting, so that's why I was asked to read it. Good evening. I understand that tonight's village board meeting is to discuss the changing of village code so that...
Louder, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that any village property could be used as a food pantry. In this case, the objective is to permit 44 Meeting House Lane to be used for that purpose. As we all know, food pantries are a very essential part of any community. However, there must be logic in selecting a location. In this case, the location is adjacent to residential homes in an area that is already burdened with heavy traffic and lack of parking. On any given day in the morning hours, traffic on Meeting House Lane is backed up, traveling eastbound almost to Hampton Bays. In the evening, going westbound, the traffic is backed up to the Southampton Hospital. Moreover, the parking situation or lack thereof is also a major concern. Meeting House, Walnut, and Pine Streets consist of multifamily homes which require additional parking. During the school years, most of the parking is occupied by employees of the school. On any given day during school hours, it is nearly impossible to find parking on my street. May through September, the church's parking lot is full. The operation of a food pantry would only add to the congestion, as well as making it very inconvenient for those using this service as well. I'm confident that if any independent study were conducted, they would agree that 44 Meeting House Lane would not be suited for this purpose. Regards, Joanne Crisafi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean Hattrick.
Darlene, if I could defer to the end.
Sure.
Thank you.
Molly Bishop.
Thank you. Hi, Mayor and Board of Trustees. Thank you so much for continuing this open hearing and allowing us the opportunity to have more people come and tell the full story. Heart of the Hamptons is very grateful to this board for the unanimous vote to extend a lease agreement to us for 44 Meeting House Lane almost a year ago. This is not an uncommon practice, with most of the private nonprofits operating in the village in village-owned facilities. The village has done this to provide a community benefit, and I can think of no greater benefit than caring for those neighbors that need a friend to turn to when in need. Heart of the Hamptons is providing food, meals for school children, school supplies, clothing, rent, and utility support, senior check-ins with hot meals, home repairs, medical supplies, taxi services to medical appointments, and volunteers to cut seniors' lawns. 44 Meeting House Lane is an ideal location for us, with safe pathways to the village business district, the schools, the hospital, and public transportation. We have been operating for 40 years in an almost identical setup. We are 3 blocks away in a residential district, adjacent to a church, with 2 residents on the other side. So I would say that this is not a big ask. We are just asking to move 3 blocks down the road, which I think this village board saw fit to allow us to do a year ago when extending the lease. So I'd like to make myself available if you have any questions on any aspect of our operations, or just say thank you for all you've done so far to allow this to move forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I ask a question, or may I address her with a question?
Joanne, typically, you have, each person has the 3 minutes to speak. It's more comments to the public versus the conversation. But I would encourage everybody that does have questions. I know Molly is available, for all questions, and there's other board members here. So I do think it's a good idea just to get together in general. And I know that they will make themselves available. But we do look forward to hearing you as well during your public comment.
Jim McFarland?
Good afternoon, Board. I realize what a tough job you've got. Before you start timing, could I just take a second to hand out some stuff? Last week, I said I would have a design done for a possible future site. It's only half finished, but that's the preliminary. We're working on it. A person that you are going to appoint to a board wrote this letter to the Southampton Press, which will appear in a couple days, and it covers a lot of issues, and I'll just briefly go through it. I have nothing to say for myself, really. But this author recognizes the importance of private charities in the area, as we all do. He points out that the process of selecting a future site was rushed. He bemoans the level of vitriolic and defamatory comments being suffered by any person not in favor of this site. He points out that New York state law and precedent make it clear that this facility is a public asset, and its repurposing is subject to careful review and consideration of potential uses. Since this repurposing clearly required variances and rezoning, the neighbors should have been notified and were not. Most importantly for me, the author points out that no evaluation of the net benefits of the lease to the village or other potential users was done. Usage of a food pantry is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, and this under New York state law is actually unlawful, according to the author. I'm not a lawyer. The problem is not the neighbors, but the fact that no legal advice was sought or obtained, or if obtained, ignored. In conclusion, the author recommends that the process be started from the beginning and our codes, laws, and procedures followed. He further points out that all village residents, property owners, taxpayers, and voters not only have hearts, but also rights, and he asks that the village administration respect that. When I read this letter, I felt relieved to see opinions of the situation very carefully and modestly explained. I can add very little except to say that as a representative of the Meeting House Lane Neighbors Association, I would ask you to give careful thought to this letter and to follow its advice. Our group has come together not to fight with the HOH, but to ensure fairness for all concerned, and we are not at all willing to be intimidated into silence. We have a substantial war chest on hand, and this purpose will advance our views and stance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Delaney Jones?
My name is Delaney Jones, and I am the program coordinator at Heart of the Hamptons. I was born and raised in Southampton and have always felt incredibly grateful to call this place home. Working at Heart of the Hamptons the past 2 years has only grown my appreciation for this community and the people who live here. Heart of the Hamptons brings our community together for the greater good. Every year, we welcome hundreds of volunteers into the food pantry, partner with local businesses and organizations, and gather together every December for our annual Polar Bear Plunge. Heart of the Hamptons is the epitome of community. Through this whole process, I believe we've proven that we are willing to be flexible and make modifications as necessary to do this right. Whether that's changing our hours of operation altering our architectural designs, or moving forward with additional studies. This board has voted unanimously twice in support of Heart of the Hamptons operating out of 44 Meeting House Lane, and the public was notified over a year ago. We have invested time and money into making this place our new home in order to continue serving our neighbors. Here are the facts. 1, we have to move as soon as possible. The Basilica now needs this space for its future plans, and it is no longer functional for our operations given our growth this past year. 2, we have worked hard to find and secure a home. I have watched the board of directors and executive director exhaust every option available. And 3, thankfully, we now have an agreement with the village allowing us to operate at 44 Meeting House Lane. This new building offers a ground level space to easily unload food straight into the facility and is more accessible for our elderly and handicapped customers and those with children. I ask that you keep those we serve in mind as we move forward, those who work tirelessly to keep this town running, those who we pass on the street, or those who sit next to your children at school. Just because you don't know them doesn't mean they don't exist. Heart of the Hamptons looks after our community, and now I'm asking you do the same for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, lady.
Julie Hobson?
My name is Julie Hobson, and I'm an advocate for the town of Southampton. I've been doing advocacy for the last 18 years. I've worked with Mary Ann Tupper, who started the Heart of the Hamptons with someone, and I'm here in support of Heart of the Hamptons. Heart of the Hamptons is not just a food pantry. Heart of the Hamptons does a variety of things. It works with the mentally challenged. It works with migrant workers. It does a variety of things. I'm on the ground, so anything that I need to help someone progress to become better, Heart of the Hamptons is so willing to help me to do that. And again, it's not just minorities, it's not just low income. We work with transitioning affluent family members to nursing homes, getting paperwork in order. We again work with the mentally challenged. That could be anyone. I worked with a doctor's family from Stony Brook who now he was a lawyer / accountant, and he does not like practicing law. He likes practicing math. So he has helped some of the most affluent families in the Hamptons get in some of the better colleges, but he was suffering from mental psychosis. And now, because of the work that Heart of the Hamptons / Town of Southampton, I don't want to overlook myself, because of the work that we do, he is now flourishing tremendously. And again, without highlighting too many, because the work that we do is, again, private, I just want to say that the work that they do is phenomenal. When I saw Molly in the news, 27 East, and how she was being attacked, I'm not used to speaking in front of a crowd, but I said I have to be there in support of her to let them know that the tremendous work that this agency does is changing lives for real. And they said they wanted to stay to the right, so I'm staying positive today. But there's so many things that this agency does that no, they're unlike any other agency. I work with a lot of agencies. Those agencies are good as well, but none steps forward like Heart of the Hamptons. Thank you.
Lane Brettschneider. You gonna pass? Tom Edmonds.
Good evening. My name is Tom Edmonds. I'm the Executive Director of the Southampton History Museum. Thank you, Mayor and honored trustees. The Southampton History Museum is an educational facility, and we like to include everybody in our scope of service. And one thing that we don't do very well is social services. Before COVID, we did several seasons of work with the Hamptons Care Center, specifically for people who were wheelchair-bound and could not get out of the facility. Right before COVID started, we worked with Father Patrick Edwards at St. John's, doing a lunch and learn program for seniors, working along with the Hampton Senior Center. So there were 3 entities working at St. John's to provide services for seniors. A couple of months ago, I got a message from Molly wanting to meet. She said that the facility across the street from the Rogers Mansion, the home of the Southampton History Museum, was a proposed site for Heart of the Hamptons, and I was delighted. I thought, oh my God, all we have to do is go across the street. It's selfishly, it's something I've always wanted to do, is serve diverse and economically challenged people. We get a lot of tourists to the Rogers Mansion. We're happy to do that, but what we really need to do is serve the underprivileged. I understand the concerns of the residents, but if you think of the Rogers Mansion, the First Presbyterian Church, and the proposed Heart of the Hamptons location, that's a nice campus that could serve, and it's right in the center of the very, very wealthy Southampton business district. How great to serve everybody out of this one large and generous parking lot that's provided by both the Presbyterian Church and the village. So I think that's all I have to say, but I hope this happens, but I know it's a difficult thing to go over, so thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Gloria Dios.
Hi, my name is Gloria Dios. I was born and raised in Southampton, and I recently became a board member of Heart of the Hamptons in January, because growing up here in such an affluent community, I was always taught that it's important to give back, especially even if you just have a little more to give back. And, you know, Heart of the Hamptons does so much more, as many other people have mentioned, than just a food pantry. You know, 10% of our customers are seniors, and a lot of what we do doesn't even happen in the Heart of the Hamptons building. It's just paying an electric bill, organizing home repair for a senior, just coordinating, you know, medical, a ride to a doctor's appointment. And there is a need for this in our community. The Southampton schools have 50% of the families rely on free or reduced lunch and breakfast, and in Tuckahoe, that number is 60%. And you know, as Heart of the Hamptons, we serve all of Southampton town, which goes from Flanders to Wainscott. So think about the need in all of those other school districts. And I just would like to say it's not uncommon for the village to make a nonprofit the use of one of their properties, as we've seen in the Southampton Arts Center, the Historical Museum, the Cultural Center, and we would be improving a village asset, making it more beautiful from the outside, and also just noting that right now it's been being used for COVID testing 6 days a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And our meal distributions are 2 days a week from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So while we do have a big impact, we also have a very low imprint. And, you know, I volunteer during the meal deliveries or meal distributions, and I would welcome the trustees and any neighbors who want to come just to see how we operate. And so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Father Patrick Edwards.
Your Honor, Trustees, thank you for letting me address you today very briefly, and I'll try not to be repetitive over what's already been said in favor of Heart of the Hamptons. I am Father Patrick Edwards. I'm resident at 100 South Main Street, and I am the rector of St. John's, as well as being the vicar at St. Andrew's Dune Church. I want to say very briefly, not to boast, but just to make a point, I also serve in other ways in my community. I'm a Board of Trustees member for Heart of the Hamptons. I serve on the Board of Trustees at the Southampton History Museum. We just heard from Tom Edmonds. I'm a member of the Volunteer Fire Department. I serve as a chaplain as well as being a member of the fire department's fire police squad. And I mention this because if it wasn't for the wisdom of our founders and many people that have held our church over the years, I would not be a physical resident of Southampton. With the postdoctoral programs under my belt and my very respectable profession, I could not afford to live here. There's no place I think I could find to live. So I'm blessed with a house, a rectory, that's provided as part of my remunerations. But I would hope that, if I may humbly say so, I would still consider to be a valuable member of our community and a resident of this place, though I could not afford to live here. And that's true for many, many, many of our people who come and make Southampton the wonderful place that it is. And it's to many of those people that we at the Heart of the Hamptons serve. Folks that come from far away to do everything from cut our grass to be able to man our classrooms in our schools, that are able to provide us many of the services and many of the duties that we enjoy that make our home the wonderful place it is. And the work that we do at the Heart of the Hamptons is to meet many people, though, who may have a very generous salary, find themselves having to leave home, to come a great distance, to leave their children in the care of others, so that they can make our lives so wonderful. And as a result, we find ourselves at Heart of the Hamptons having to provide for people that we might even term professionals. And because of the nature of their work, they can't afford to go elsewhere. In the normal operating hours that they might have to take advantage of a food pantry or other services Heart of the Hamptons provides, they need to be inside the proximity of where they work. These are folks that make our community our home. And by providing this for them, along with the many people, I would especially list the many school children that necessarily by definition are members of our zip code and community. Those children that we serve in the school, because they go to the school in our district, are people that belong to our district. And they rely upon us for food, for materials to be able to use in their education. And again, these are children that will hopefully stay in our communities and enrich and improve upon them. There's so many facets about our community that are underserved, and we are blessed as homeowners and others here to be able to have the advantage of this very affluent community. But there are so many that we rely upon that couldn't dream of making this place their physical homes, but contribute so much to us, as much as anyone that lives here and has a voting right. So I would hope, as I could humbly say today, is that many of the people that we would be serving here have a stake in this community, that make it for what we is many years of it. Some of them have moved away because of the cost of housing, because of the things that would make it necessary for them to relocate elsewhere. And us being able to serve them in this village. And just to say in closing, I'm part of that neighborhood. I'm not on Meeting House Lane. But one of the great things about this new site that is even better than the one we had before is it puts us in the immediate vicinity of places like the History Museum, my parish church, the Presbyterian Church, the Methodist Church just up the road. These locations are now able to become more engaged with them and what's happening inside the Heart of the Hamptons, because now I can provide meeting space for them. There are other things that we might be able to extend because of its immediate proximity to us. And it really does begin to knit a social service part of our community by making us a little more localized and a little more available to make that work done together. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Reverend Joanne Utley. Okay, I think we're back to Sean Patrick.
Thank you very much. My name is Sean Hattrick. I am on the board of Heart of the Hamptons, and my wife Jennifer volunteers there. And I wanted to talk about two things that weren't brought up or have been brought up that I have a different point of view on. One is the building itself. You know, that building was renovated back, I think, in 1976. The Village Ambulance Corps started, I believe, 50 years ago by a man named Hans Wobst, who operated out of a much smaller building on that site. And then when ambulances changed to the old station wagon format to the much higher ones now, they realized that it was ill-sized for current use. And so at that time, the village had nothing to do with the ambulance. Didn't support it financially. And so at that time, Hans Wobst and a group of friends of the ambulance at the time raised 100% of the funds to restore that, not restore it, to build the building that we know it today. And I think it's interesting that the entire life of that property has been in service of Southampton through volunteers and donations of generous people in this community. It's one of the great things about Southampton is that, you know, we are surrounded by people that have so much, but there are so many people around us that don't have the same thing. But I wanted to bring up that point about that building itself. It has a history of service, and we at Heart of the Hamptons are intending on renovating that building with, again, 100% donated funds. And I think that's significant. I don't know, I would defy anybody to, you know, find a building in this town that was owned by the municipality that is now being funded fully by a charitable organization that serves the community like this one does. And that particular building is special. I drove the ambulance when I was in my early 20s, 30 years ago. And I remember the man that started it. And so, anyway, there's something special about that place. I also happen to work on the corner of Meeting House Lane and Main Street in Southampton. I park in that parking lot every day, Monday through Friday, when I go to work, of course. And for the last 12 years. And I will tell you that there are 3 months out of the year. Part of the way through May, June, July, and part of the way through August, early in the morning, and then after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, traffic can build up heading west, just like people have described. Most of the rest of the year, that does not exist. But it is definitely only at the end of the day. I leave for lunch every day, I go home, there is never a problem. You know, I shouldn't say the word never, but you travel down Hampton Road, you travel down Hill Street, you travel down my road at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Southampton Village in May, June, July, and part of August, and you're asking for a little bit of a wait. It doesn't matter where you go. But the nice thing about Heart of the Hamptons going in that particular location is that we, like has been said before, we work for 2 hours, 2 days a week, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's 4 hours of the service. It's not a soup kitchen. We hand out we hand out food to people. They do it very quickly. They're in and they're out. The rest of the work we do is outside of that building. The other thing is we're never there at night. We're never there on the weekends. Honestly, I mean, we're trying to tell you why we need that building. I can't impress upon the people of Meeting House Lane enough how fortunate I think you are to have us be the people that are there, because you are never going to know that we're there. I can't, you may not believe me tonight, but in 2 years, I think you'll look back and say, geez, I don't know why we made such a big deal out of that. They're really great. It is our intention to only do good. We're not looking to make enemies with anybody in this community. We're not looking to embarrass the board for having chose us. Okay. Anyway, thank you. But lastly, I just want you to know that when we go in there, and I believe your intentions are good, and ultimately, we will be there. And I hope it's sooner than later, because we desperately need to get there soon, that we will make you proud that you did, and we will not embarrass you. Thank you.
Lane Brett Schneider?
I'm going to pass.
You're going to pass? Reverend Utley, you're passing? Is there anyone else who would like to speak? I have 2 written communications for the board. I received 2 letters, which I'm not going to read in an entirety. One is from Justina Kavanaugh, the other from Rob Coburn. Both of them were requesting that the board reconsider the location for Heart of the Hamptons, although they both did express support for the organization itself. They just felt it would be better suited in another location. Those will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you, Charlene. Just to confirm, is there anyone else who would like to make a comment for the public hearing? I believe,
I was speaking for somebody else before. I'd like to speak for
okay, no problem.
I'm Dinah Maxwell Smith again. This is not about us not liking Heart of the Hamptons. We all agree that Heart of the Hamptons is wonderful. We all know how wonderful they are. The question is, why does it have to be there? And it isn't just 2 days a week. They've already had a Hadassah group out there a weekend or so ago selling lemonade or something, harassing the woman who just spent 3 years building the house next door. So there's going to be more activity. You're not going to spend $1 million building that building if you're only going to use it twice a week.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any other additional comment? All right, thank you. So as we continue on from this public hearing, I'd like to ask our board for some comments. I believe, Trustee Stevenson, you had a few things that you'd like to share, or are there any other board members who'd like to say anything else?
Mr. Mayor, we've had 2 public sessions now, this tonight and last meeting, and I want to thank everybody who expressed their opinions about this issue. I think it's clear that not one person holds any negative feelings about the mission of the Heart of the Hamptons, and so I thank both sides for expressing their opinion. We had the difficult job as trustees and as a board of deciding what the path is to, as I've said many times, find the greatest good for the greatest number of people, and we will endeavor to do that. But since we've kind of heard both sides of this issue now for many people, I think, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay. I will, I can second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a second motion. As I said at the last board meeting, I did not feel that the mechanism that was used previously to enable the food pantry to exist on Meeting House Lane was the proper structure to do that. So I would like to make a motion to set a public hearing for September 9th, our next meeting, to consider an amended local law to create a special use for a food pantry, special exemption for the use of food pantry, and to consider that at the next public hearing at that meeting. So I make a motion to do that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Kim, would it be helpful to provide any more detail, or I know we've discussed this with the Heart of the Hamptons as well.
Yeah, I've had conversations with you, one-on-one, so I will craft a proposed local law, which will be the subject of that public hearing on September 9th.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And we've discussed this with the Heart of the Hamptons. Molly and I had a meeting today, so I'm not sure if anyone needs any further explanation, but basically we're closing the public hearing. We're going to be changing the code. The goal is to support the Heart of the Hamptons here. We just want to make sure we're doing this properly within the legal framework of the village. But all of the positive and other comments have been heard, and we just want to make it very clear, to the public here and those who have attended that we're fully in support of Heart of the Hamptons, and this is a valuable asset to the community. And so we're looking forward to making this happen. I know it's been a long time coming, and we appreciate everybody who's come out today, particularly the executive director Molly and other members of the board who have come out. So I think that was our public hearing. We'd encourage everyone.
Can I make one more point? For those interested, I'm sure everybody here is, the actual wording of the proposed revision will be posted to what, kind of the village website?
Yes.
The village website, at least 5 days?
I forget what the time frame is that you do it.
It'll be in the newspaper as well, Southampton Press.
So anybody interested in how the wording and the language of the new special exemption is, there will be ample opportunity to review it prior to that public hearing at the next meeting.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. I also wanted to thank everyone for coming. I know it's been a long process, and I know we are here to serve the public. And I also want to say, at the end of the day, Heart of the Hamptons is a great organization. I spoke with Molly, and I also spoke with Sean over the last 2 days, and hearing them out, and also, but this is all that the proper legal way to do it, as Trustee Stevenson and the Mayor pointed out. So we want to work with all of you. We want to make sure that both the residents and and Heart of the Hamptons is well within their purview to act as they are. So as Sean said, the building has been used as a public good for the last 40 years, and our goal is to continue that use in a different way. So I just wanted to thank you all for coming again.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We now have, we don't have any communications to the board, nor do we have any discussion items, so we'll continue to move forward with the suggested resolution. So Charlene, you can handle this as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 1, resolved that the claims for the warrant dated August 24th totaling $451,581.38, warrant A-6 General Fund, and $500 warrant T-5 CS Trust Fund be audited and approved. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 2, that resolved that the reading of the minutes for public sessions of August 12th, 2021 be dispensed with, and that those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator, and that the actions taken at that meeting here and be and hereby ratified and approved. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolved that the Board of Trustees would like to promote local business efforts, hereby approves the village's participation as an entity member in the Southampton Rotary with annual dues in the amount of $300. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
And second?
Second.
Just a quick discussion. What this is that we would like to obviously show some support to the Southampton Rotary. And so at each Rotary meeting, a representative, elected official, or village employee will be attending the Rotary meetings to provide updates to the Rotary, just as a way to show what we're doing and have a good relationship and good communication with the local Rotary. So if anyone, just to provide a little more clarity, that is the purpose of this resolution. So we're looking forward for our village employees and staff and elected officials to be attending and having good participation.
And on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 4, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of Adia Decker as a student intern in the building department at a rate of $15 per hour, effective August 4th, 2021. We have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second?
Quick discussion. What are the hours going to be for this in general? Is it high school or college? Or?
She was a high school student. She is was only working for 2 weeks, so she's actually finished her work already.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I believe resolution number 5 is being withdrawn.
Yes.
That's the resolution for the,
I'll make that one.
make a motion to withdraw, Joe, for trustee McLaughlin.
I'll second that motion.
Second, Mayor Warren. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 6, the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of Patrick Matthews as a Cooper's Beach lifeguard at a rate of $15.50 per hour, effective August 25th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 7, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the correction of pay for Brandon Mendez as a Cooper's Beach lifeguard at a rate of $15.50 per hour to a rate of $17 per hour, effective August 4th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
A second?
Discussion?
Sure.
I just wanted to ask the board to make sure that we review with the restaurants, now that we're coming out of COVID and the outdoor dining is great, that we make sure that some of the restaurants aren't overstepping their boundaries a little bit and spreading out maybe a little bit too far. I don't know what organization within the village pays attention to that. But I would love to have some sort of note made that we should review how we're doing that, just because, back in COVID, it was very tightly defined and where people were, and now we're kind of spreading out a bit, and I
There,
think
yes, trustee, there are, the building department, basically, when they submit their application, they get a number of seats per square footage. There has to be handicap accessibility in the parking lot through there, and if there's any problems, they usually get reported probably through our C-Click Fix or just through inspection. Code enforcement, and the police department would also be responsible for monitoring that.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so on the motion on resolution number 7, do we have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 8, whereas the village has previously entered into licensing agreements with various establishments allowing them to utilize municipal space for outdoor dining, and whereas New York State has adopted legislation to allow establishments to continue to utilize such space with consent and agreement of the municipality, subject to approval from the State Liquor Authority. Now, therefore, by the village hereby authorizes and approves the extension of said license to November 28th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 9, resolved that the Board of Trustees accepts the letter of resignation for Christopher Talbot, Senior Building Inspector, effective August 29th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 10, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the Comprehensive Master Plan Steering Committee for the purpose of coordinating and collaborating with the outside consultants. The members consist of Mayor Jesse Warren, Trustee Stevenson, William Manger as the chair, and Eldon Scott. We have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Quick discussion. So we'd like to amend this to also include an additional member, Shonda Campbell. So we just wanted to make a motion to amend the resolution to include Shonda.
Is there a second?
Second.
And then the discussion I have is just to make everyone aware, we may have heard about the update to the comprehensive master plan. Our board was very proud to have engaged BFJ Planning, particularly Frank Fish, who's the head planner there. We've had a presentation from them before, and the master comprehensive plan has not been updated since 2000. So this will be a good opportunity for our board to work with the steering committee, who will work very closely with our planners to come up with a future vision for what our village should look like. That includes our downtown, that includes zoning, it includes open space and park space, it includes affordable or workforce housing, and this will be a good opportunity for our entire village to have a comprehensive overview. And I just wanted to thank the members who are going to be participating. It's going to be a lot of work, but we thank everybody. And then I spoke with one of the co-chairs of the Planning Commission this morning, Mark Schaffer. This steering committee will not only report to the Board of Trustees, it has 2 of our members on it, but it will also be reporting on a monthly basis or so to the Planning Commission, so that the public will have an update each month as to how progress is going, and also have an opportunity in those Planning Commission meetings to participate. And in addition, we'll be conducting various stakeholder interviews, interviewing residents, stakeholders, business owners, and other board members, so they can provide input on this process as well. So this process should last around 9 months or so, and we're looking forward to having an updated plan. And this particular plan, we're really hoping, and it's a hope because it's going to be a big and tall order, but we'd like to have this in a situation where we can implement it into our zoning code, because it is time to obviously look into our plan as a whole. So I just wanted to add that and put that on the record for everybody to have more color around this resolution and the steering committee. And thank you, Bill, for attending. We're looking forward to working with you.
So on the resolution as amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolved, resolution number 11, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of Ryan McDonald as a Cooper's Beach attendant at a rate of $15 per hour effective August 10th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we have additional walk-on resolutions that we would like to add onto the resolution that were latecomers. Do we have a motion to add these on?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Um,
You have, I'm not sure if it's in our packet, but.
Copies?
Yeah. It's not in the packet.
hold on 1 second.
Lane, we're still in a public meeting, so anything that you say will be part of the public record, just a warning.
I think that's why he's quiet.
It'll be in those minutes. I said it'll be in the minutes. Maybe you do want to say something. I'm kidding.
Okay, on the supplemental resolutions, resolution number 12, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the search committee for the purpose of research for the new police chief position. The members consist of Trustee Stevenson, Trustee Brown, Ed Moneypenny, and that's
Reverend Butler.
And Reverend Butler.
Reverend Butler, yes.
And the last one is pending.
And then we'll have an additional pending member.
There'll be an additional member that'll be
As he
appointed
gets
at a
back
later
to us,
date.
yes.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Quick discussion before that. I just wanted to, again, put on the record that this is a search committee. We've got 2 trustees, we've got a few community members, and the point of this is to help us basically filter out applications and then to provide us with guidance and some other feedback. The goal is not to select a new chief, but it'd be good to have people, particularly religious leaders, and Reverend Butler, for example, has a law enforcement background, to just help advise the board. I know the town of Southampton, when they were doing their search, also had a search committee, so we're mirroring what they have done, and we're hoping that this committee can help us provide some guidance to the Board of Trustees based upon community input, which they'll be aggregating, and in addition, provide some guidance to make sure that we have the best applicants in front of us. That's all.
So on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 13, resolved that the Board of Trustees assigns Tin So Ho as acting department head of the building department effective August 29, 2021, to be paid an out-of-title stipend in the amount of $75 per day. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
This is actually, he's going to be acting as our department head upon the retirement of Christopher Talbot. He's the second in command in the department now, until a replacement for the department can be found. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayoral appointments. Resolved that the mayor approves the term extension for the following environmental committee members: Gary Gillespie, Robert Coburn, co-chair; John H. Halsey, Daniela Kronmeyer, Thomas Luthan, co-chair; and Holly Peterson. Term date has been extended to June 30th, 2022.
Make the motion.
Motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayoral appointment number 2, resolved that the mayor approves the term extension for the following Clean Water Task Force: Rob Coburn, Tom Luthan, and Holly Peterson. Term date has been extended to June 30th, 2022. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the supplemental mayoral appointment, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the appointment of Summer Stalling to the Planning Commission effective August 25th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
And then the discussion here again is 2 years ago, we had the honor of appointing a high school student as a member of the Planning Commission. The point of the Planning Commission is to advise the Board of Trustees, and as we continue to move on, it's important to have a voice from our younger community. And 2 years ago, we had made an appointment due to COVID. Last year we had not, but this year Summer is a rising senior, and getting her input to every month when we have our meetings will be helpful to the Planning Commission and to the board. So we're not only looking forward to her input, but we're also looking forward to giving her an opportunity to participate in local government. It's a good way to attract and get younger people interested in the future of our village. So congratulations to Summer as well. And again, that's our discussion.
Showing and be receiving credit or
No, she gets a stipend, which she would use towards, in the form of a scholarship.
And we're hoping to obviously continue this program each year to attract, again, a rising senior. So,
Same stipend as the commission.
yes. So towards the end of the school year, we'll go back to the high school and we'll let people know about her experience, so we can have a continuous pipeline of students who are interested and award them with an appointment.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That would conclude the resolution portion.
All right, thank you, Charlene. We now move to comments from board members. So in alphabetical order, we'll start with Trustee Aresta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank Chris Talbot for his years of service as our building inspector. And I remember Chris from before he was the building inspector when he worked with John Foster. And I know he's looking forward to taking the ferry to his new position in Sag Harbor, so he could take his boat to work and avoid the traffic, it seems. But anyway, lots of luck to him, and I thank him for his service. I'm excited about the steering committee to work alongside to move the master plan along, and I'm looking forward to the input from the community and getting that going, and long overdue plan there. The storm, thankfully, did not cause that much damage, but regardless of what happened, all the necessary preparations had to be made by all the emergency services, the ambulance, the police, the DPW. They all had their meetings. They pulled out flags. They put all the beach chairs away, the cans, all the vehicles were brought to the barn. And during the storm, they had cleaned out the storm drains, make sure all the water was running. They cleaned the gutters. All the heavy equipment was ready to go in case of damage, and luckily we did not sustain that damage. We lost a tree on Somerset. There were branches, mostly from the wind, that came down, so it was more of a cleanup, and there was some minor leaks that the building maintenance department had to take care of, but there was no significant damage, and everything was all reset at Cooper's Beach and good to go, and everybody's safe. So I thank all our emergency service departments for doing their job and doing a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Aresta. Trustee Brown?
I too would like to echo that and thank all of our participants, our Southampton Village Police, our building department, our parks department, all of our workers at the beach, the fire and ambulance. We want to thank you all for the work and going above and beyond. Thank you that our village and our residents have felt safe, and I'm glad to know that all were safe. There were no incidents reported of injuries. So I want to commend you all and thank you all.
Thank you very much, Trustee Brown. Trustee McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to echo the sentiments with the storm. We dodged a bullet there. Fortunately, it wasn't a bad storm, but we still have some time to go until the end of the season. So just want to also, I attended the end of summer party via the ambulance corps, and it was a great event. I just want to publicly thank the staff at Union, Second City, and Social Club who hosted the event for us, because we could not have it at the beach because of the pending storm. So I want to publicly thank Mr. Ian Duke for his continued service to this village, providing a lot of year in, year out parties and being a very good steward of the community. I also wanted to, of course, I'm looking forward to all the goings on with the master plan that we need to update it as well with Frank Fish, who was around 20 years ago when we did it. So looking forward to seeing what we can do going forward. And thank you, Mr. Menger, for volunteering again for it after 20 years. Also, I wanted to, of course, it was to wish Chris Talbot well. It was a pleasure working with him over not only as a trustee, but as a member of the Planning Commission. I worked with Chris on many things, and it was a pleasure working with him as a trustee liaison to that department, and I wish him well in his future endeavors in Sag Harbor. So good luck to you, Chris, and that's all I have. And hopefully we'll find another building inspector soon. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee McLaughlin. Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to echo the comments of all my fellow trustees, especially with regards to thanking Chris Talbot for his years of service to the village. I've known Chris through my association with the planning board and more recently as the liaison to the building committee. I was always extremely impressed with his voluminous knowledge of the codes of Southampton Village. And not only that, but his years of institutional knowledge of what had happened in what place and at what time and who had done what to whom. And we will miss that because that's hard to replace. But I wish him well in his new endeavors. And at the same time, I would like to congratulate Tien So-ho for becoming the acting building department building inspector. And I look forward to working with him and all the staff of our really wonderful building department to keep up the good work and keep hopefully that as the revenue center that it has been for us, as Charlene pointed out in the treasurer's report. Also, to second my fellow trustees, just big hats off to all of our village workers, the emergency people, the fire department, the public works staff, just everybody. The hurricane wasn't as bad as we thought, thank goodness. But I did see somewhere that middle of the worst part of the hurricane, which wasn't too bad, but it was still raining pretty hard. It was blowing pretty hard, and nobody knew what was going to happen. And somebody's dog got into Lake Agawam, and the firemen went and saved the dog. And that's what those guys do in the middle of when everybody else wants to stay home. They're out there doing the right thing. So thanks to them. And other than that, I'm really excited about the work we have to do with the steering committee for the new police chief and for the master plan. And somewhere we're going to find some time to do it all, Mr. Mayor. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. A few things. We cannot thank our DPW and emergency services and public safety officers enough. I know all of our trustees extended a debt of gratitude, but I would be remiss if I didn't do the same thing. And wanted to thank all of our department heads as well as our department employees of DPW. We were prepared. Trustee Liaison Aresta for her help as well. We were prepared for a hurricane if one were to come. Fortunately, it did not. But want to give tip of that to Gary Gillespie and his team, who made sure that we had barrels out to collect rainwater, to make sure that our drains were cleaned, and also 2 years ago we had asked Gary and his team in the highway department to install new catch basins on Main Street and Hampton Road, as well as on Meeting House and David White's Lane in Woolley. And you could see after that torrential downpour, there was minimal to no flooding thanks to those new catch basins we put in just about 2 years ago. So that hard work from 2 years ago had paid off and paying dividends today. But they did everything they needed to do, and I can tell you that particularly with their DPW department, especially with all of our departments, EMS, fire, and police, that when we need to step up, we all do, and we all come together. So again, just wanted to thank our chief of EMS, Shane, as well as Alfie Callahan of fire, and also thank both Lieutenant Hertel and Lieutenant Wetter for their hard work. Many of our police officers had to actually change shifts to 12-hour shifts, so they had to work a long night of the potential hurricane. That did not happen, but just wanted to extend a debt of gratitude to all of our emergency services and DPW essential workers. Again, wanted to also echo our board in thanking Chris Talbot, our building inspector, for his service. I was fortunate enough to get to know him a long time before I was mayor. We bonded over the fact that we're both type 1 diabetics, and Chris, long before I even got involved in politics, he had helped me out a lot with store signage for my business and made sure that I always had enough information. and helped out our Board of Trustees with a number of issues that we faced, including an overgrown property on Bellows Lane, which we'll have to address again, unfortunately, and some other properties. So he really did a good job, and I can tell you that Chris Talbot was a really strong manager of his department. If you'd ask any of the people that worked for him or with him underneath him, they all had a lot of respect for Chris, and it showed because he did manage a very good department, a department that is the profit center of our village, that allows us to minimize the tax levy that we put on our residents. And so wanted to extend a thank you to Chris Talbot. We're looking forward to success in Sag Harbor. And also wanted to thank Tin, who's quietly been working in our building department, and thank him for all his service as well. We're looking forward to working with him. Tin is outstanding. He knows every detail of every plan. He's extremely precise, and he can help any single person that comes in. So we're looking forward to him overseeing the department as we determine our next steps. And then two other quick things of note. I'll start with a small piece of bad news and good news. Not so much bad news, but just unfortunate piece of information we got from the New York State DEC. The good news is that we actually completed our dredging study, which was 2 years in the making. We got it over to the DEC for analysis and permitting. And what it turned out, we could actually have Nelson Pope and Voorhees come in, but it turns out that the bottom of Lake Agawam is a lot worse than we actually thought. There's some sediments down there that unfortunately might not be able to be removed and placed on a property nearby. It's that bad where it's going to be more expensive to dredge because we're going to have to move some of that sediment, but at least we have gotten the dredging study done. We have got it to the DEC, we work very well with, and we'll be able to determine next steps. So that's the unfortunate piece of news, but the good news in that, and the flip side is that we now have the work done and we can now make the appropriate next steps. And then on a brighter note, I wanted to thank many people, Dr. Georgia Career-Key and Brenda Simmons from the Pirates Contra Action Committee, as well as our grant writer, and Miranda Weber, who helped us put together a grant for $500,000 from the Gardner Foundation, which we submitted this past week, and we'll be hearing more in November to determine whether or not we've been successful. But this was a heavy lift from all four people and many others involved, and we, knock on wood, we hope that we have a successful application, and this will give, if we are awarded this application, we will have an extra $500,000 to spend on this project, so we're looking forward to the continued progress there. So that's all I've got for tonight, so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to executive session. Oh, and sorry, thank you very much. I also just wanted to announce that we will be having the first State of the Village address on August 31st. The address will start at 8 o'clock, and then we'll be serving refreshments at 7:30 for those who'd like to gather. We're doing it outside because of the COVID and the Delta variant, but we will be spacing out chairs and recommending that everyone wear masks outside, and obviously families can sit together. But we're looking forward to not only recapping the last year or two, but also speaking about what we're going to be accomplishing in the future. Our board will be there. Many other members of our village community will be there. We've already got a number of RSVPs, and we know more people will be attending. If anyone who's watching this needs any special accommodations, we'll have reserved seating, particularly for our senior community. And we're looking forward for everyone to join us, and looking forward for our board to be there at the State of the Village address. And we're hoping that this will become a tradition in years out. So again, thank you for the reminder there. I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing contractual litigation and specific village personnel matters. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to return to public session. The time is 8:36 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Let the record reflect that there were no motions made or action taken in executive session.
Thank you. Let the record show there's no actions or motions taken in executive session. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. 8:37.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.